once again, little tiny microscopic gay people in my phone, and friends, because I'm noticing more and more of you begin to pop up, and I love to see it.
Talk, Valentina. Ally.
And welcome to the third and maybe final installment of the internet's Evilest Lesbians, a series dedicated to unpacking allegations of abuse in lesbian relationships that didn't unfold in silence, but right in front of you, on your For You page, your Twitter timeline, your YouTube recommended. You liked, you shared, and dare I say you reposted. You posted a think piece, you investigated. You had follow-up questions. In the first episode, we talked about the social urge to find black or white in places where there may just be shades of gray. Our craving to condemn, to villainize, to slam a nail in the coffin of a person we never have and never will meet. In the second episode, we explored our role in the abuse itself, how following, commenting, tying ourselves to the pain or trauma experienced by a stranger online as a means of entertainment, escapism, or extracurricular perpetuates the cycle. It lines the pockets of people promoting harm, financially ties a potential victim to their abuser, and generally just perpetuates a culture that's rooted in desensitization and sensationalization. I was conflicted about covering today's story for the final installment because it touches on both of the themes of the previous episodes. It's also been widely reflected on, toiled over, and think-pieced about. I wasn't sure really what else there was to say, what more I could add to the conversation. But while Sedona Prince is the seed of today's narrative, my point lies in the tree, and the roots and the branches that spun around her, as well as the hands that planted her. Today's story begs the question, and perhaps the central theme of this entire series: how much can we really hate the monster that we created?
Hello people, I have a little treat for you today, brought to you by our sponsor, Bellesa. Well, actually 4 little treats. If you haven't heard of Bellesa, it is a woman-owned company for all things sexual wellness. Their whole mission is to empower people to explore, embrace, and celebrate their sexuality, and they do it well, y'all. Let me show you the lineup. These are not your average toys. This is the Flutter Vibe. All of their toys come in super discreet packaging. As you can see, this could literally be like a makeup compact, but it's not. Essentially, she mimics some sensations, but with added precision and for dual stimulation. Next up, the Thump. Ta-da! This is a toy that does it all. Vibrates, suctions, and thumps. It's designed to be the de facto replacement for all external clit stimulating vibes, and it utilizes Bellesa's improved pleasure jet technology. Next up, the Pebble. She's got suction and vibration, and you can control them separately, which is huge. No annoying pattern modes, it just does what it's supposed to do without a whole confusing Morse code situation. And finally, the Air Vibe. Waterproof, rechargeable, and of course, discreet as always. She does dual stimulation for the G-spot and the clit, and silent but deadly. Yay, vibrators! But get this, my friends at Bellesa and I are giving away free vibrators or gift cards for vibrators to everyone who signs up for my giveaway at the link below in my description. So yeah, if you've been curious, if you're in your self-love era, or if you just want to upgrade your nightstand, sign up. Sign up right now. Link is down below in the description, and thank you so much to Bellesa for coming through. Literally.
Through the construction of this series and the comments that have followed, I've also been made aware of a collection of other stories about evil lesbians online, revealing that, unfortunately, abuse allegation narratives, in and of themselves, are nearly a subgenre of content creation in today's day and age, for better or for worse. Much of what you guys shared with me seemed to touch on themes that felt paralleled in nature to the previous episodes, but one stood out, not only by virtue of the situation itself, but notably by the reaction from the audience. While this series has highlighted pretty much the worst of what sapphic internetdom has to offer, I find it important to also platform a story that had the potential to devolve into irreparable lesbian chaos, but seemingly just didn't. At least in hindsight. Walk with me. I have a point, I promise. Domo and Crissy were a lesbian couple that started creating content together quickly after meeting in 2016.
What's up, y'all? It's Domo!
Really classic 2016 content. Challenges, vlogs, pranks, all held together with the powerful pull of wholesome lesbianism and notably, #Black Love.
Since we moved in together, Babe has literally been asking for a dog.
Okay.
So does she have our first pet together?
No. At the time, they were probably one of the biggest lesbian couple channels on the platform and definitely the most popular Black lesbian couple. Such is life and lesbianism. A year later, they were engaged. And then a year after that, they welcomed a child. And then a year after that, famously, all hell broke loose.
Like, it's many reasons of why I just cannot. There's so many fucking I cannot with this girl.
They announced their breakup in July of 2018.
None of us did anything wrong for us to break up.
You were there for me, like, regardless. Like, I'll always be here for you.
And I appreciate it.
I really will. Like, genuinely, no matter what happens in life, I don't care if you get a new sexy fine ass upgrade from me. I will still be here for you, always, I swear.
And by September, Crissy had introduced a new romantic interest to the public.
That's when I had my mental breakdown on YouTube. I completely lost it. Just imagining somebody touching her, somebody kissing her, having sex with her. I lost it because I never thought that she would be that person.
Domo carried and was the biological mother of their son Dominic, but naturally the pair presented themselves as a family unit online and were raising him together.
People just think because Dominic came out of me, that Crissy's just gonna bounce. Like, Crissy's gonna be like, fuck it, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna cover this tattoo, blah, 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 blah. Are you fucking dumb? Like, I'm not trying to be rude, but like, she raised him from birth. You know what I'm saying? Birth.
However, Crissy never legally adopted Dominic, and after their breakup, Domo began limiting Crissy's access to him as she felt she wasn't as invested in being a part of his life and was more focused on dating.
Before you broke up with me, you should have fucking adopted him if you care so fucking much.
I paid for half of everything. I went to every single appointment. I was very active in the process. I just knew, like, I don't know, I just got like this different feeling like I'm actually gonna be a mother. Smoking
and drinking and fucking getting high all the fucking time. Car smell like smoke every goddamn day. Every time I get in your car, secondhand smoke. I told your ass stop smoking in the car with Dominic. That's something I don't play.
Some fans believed Domo was gatekeeping out of spite, and others found Crissy to be unengaged as a parent. Eventually, the decision was made for Domo to raise Dominic alone. This all unfolded in an online back and forth comprised of now mostly deleted videos from pre-2019. In recent years, they've both posted videos addressing the controversy and expressing regret for involving their audience.
Y'all will not get that out of me now. I'm not going on the internet and influencing people that I was right and she was wrong, or I was the good one and she was the bad one, because I don't give a fuck enough. Y'all could hate me for all y'all like.
I was like, oh my god, maybe they should talk it out. Maybe we have. We just didn't come to the internet with y'all. And I'm gonna be fucking honest. Like, I don't give a fuck who get mad at this statement. We just did not come to the internet. And now y'all creating unnecessary beef. I don't got beef. To have beef, you gotta give a fuck. And I just don't.
With the central theme being, they don't want to keep talking about it. They don't want to hear about each other, they don't want beef, and they want to move on. So what do we mini make of this? For one, as someone who is a proud survivor of the damn bitch my body's not even cold and there's a new bitch in your bed lesbian canon, I understand that shit is jaw-dropping, painful, and most likely deeply worsened by the fact there are hundreds of thousands feeling, commenting, and speculating on that pain alongside you. And I don't know if by virtue of my videos, a lot of y'all find me to be logical, normal, and well-adjusted, but that is not the case. I'm a public crash out Hall of Famer, specifically in lesbian spaces. For those of you who watch my podcast and have noticed that I mention the Woods Wednesday in every episode, it's not because I'm always having a good time. It's because shit gets dealt with. Needless to say, God forbid a girl beef with her ex, and I extend that grace to both of them. That being said, when people told me to cover Domo and Crissy, I was surprised and confused, because that's how this reads to me. It's a horrible breakup, most likely a traumatic breakup for more reasons than one, that brings up a lot of moral and social questions about motherhood, partnership, and the nuances of the things we owe each other after a breakup, specifically a queer one. I don't want to invalidate Domo or Crissy, because, as I've said continually, I don't know these people. But from a viewer's perspective, looking at this over 5 years later, this doesn't read to me as a situation that's thesis is, this is abuse. This is the perpetrator, and this is the victim, now fight. At least within the narrative that exists online and in the minds of their followers today. It was messy, it was dark, it was painful, but the honesty and humanity and nuance that I've been pushing to normalize throughout this series seems to exist here, in both the subjects and the spectators. That, yeah, they both probably did really fucked up stuff to each other. That wasn't right, and that hurt, and that sucked, or maybe even was evil. Who knows? Not me. But at the end of the day, there was an acknowledgement from both of them that they mutually shared with their viewers that sometimes, I don't know, it just is what it is. Regardless of what side you're on, who you feel was right or wrong, whatever, they chose to dead the narrative, and I really respect that. Famously, lesbian breakups are the material manifestation of Dante's Inferno. I've seen some of the greatest minds of our generation destroyed by a lesbian breakup, and I'm sure after they stopped beefing with each other online, it didn't stop hurting. I'm sure a whole nother season, franchise even, worth of conflict ensued after that, to be honest. But they decided to exclude their audience, and by virtue of that, their audience has for the most part moved on, which in turn has allowed them to move on, and hopefully heal. which I think is in everyone's best interest in a situation like theirs. The role of the viewers is also super potent here. A lot of the beef sparked online between Domo and Crissy was because viewers were sending the shit one person had posted to the other person. The pair had been very clear they'd unfollowed or blocked each other on socials, but fans took it upon themselves to share tweets or videos they found to be subtweets or attempts to start beef, regardless of how true that actually was in reality. I don't want this to come across like I'm advocating for people not to share their stories. I think it's important, and I think there's a lot to learn from stories like this. That's the reason they draw so many eyes. And this series isn't to critique people who come forward, it's to interrogate ourselves, what it means for us to watch and why we do it. I opened with Domo and Crissy because it seemed like for their audience, their hearts broke with them. Their followers were an extension of their relationship. They were in it with them. And because of that, it was really everybody's breakup. Because of the love. And that juxtaposes Sedona Prince's story, Boats. Trigger warning for physical and emotional abuse. Sedona Prince is a pro-women's basketball player and internet personality who currently has 2.4 million followers on TikTok.
Well, it's officially March, and you know what that means. I'm back!
Around 2020, she'd gained a following for posting about basketball life, general, relatable content, and what would eventually lead her into virality, her relationships. Oh, and being like super fucking tall. She's 6'7".
Best thing about being tall, I'll show you right here, baby. It's not being able to reach things. It's not being cool. It's this.
In 2021, Sedona hard launches with Riley. Riley wasn't a huge creator at the time, but together they built a little cult following. They posted cutesy vids dancing together, little bits about their relationship, what they were up to. Oh, but a central theme was definitely that Sedona was really fucking tall. And notably, Riley is 4'9".
See?
This is important because there's literally nothing objectively wrong with that. It is my general understanding that tall people are allowed to date short people. I believe that is legal. But what emerged from this is a diabolical catch-22 that shot these two into viral lesbian couple infamy because people thought this was super fucking weird.
Riley wants to see how small we can make her look. Hold on, get a little closer.
We get it.
With some accusing the two of fetishizing the other and others finding it odd that they kept playing into it. I'm not interested in speculating on if either of these strangers have a height kink. Like, genuinely, we don't have the time and I don't have the energy, but feel free to sound off in the comments, queen. But I do find it interesting the ways we obsess over what we hate. They had one video go mega viral about the height difference.
I don't know how I'm supposed to shower at my girlfriend's house. Please look at this. By the way, my girlfriend is 4'9" and I am 6'7". Like...
And so they kept playing on it, which only made people be like, damn, y'all dragging it a little, which only increased their engagement and made them post more. It was this really interesting cycle where they were blowing up because people found them off-putting. And while I saw the height videos and said, damn, she really tall and she really short, wow, scroll, others were eager to psychoanalyze and build a narrative around them as people, which ended up serving an interesting function in hindsight when in summer of 2022 and after recently moving in together, they broke up, releasing a joint statement saying they weren't growing as individuals.
Hi everyone, Riley and I broke up.
Surprise!
It was a mutual decision. We both decided and are very at peace with this. We just felt like we weren't growing as individuals, and we felt like it was our kind of duty and responsibility to tell you guys because we do share our relationship so much on this app.
The rest of this gets very muddy very quickly, so take this all with a grain of salt. It's a lot of screenshots and vague comments and cryptic videos and Reddit threads, so we're just gonna keep it on the need to know because truly I don't think anyone alive wants to relive this in vivid detail, including me. But it should be noted what prompted all of this. After their seemingly amicable breakup video, Sedona posted a subtweet about Riley criticizing her for moving on very quickly. Damn you, my body's not even cold and there's a new bitch in my bed, lesbian canon. Please fucking free us. Anyways, it was a viewer commenting under one of Riley's videos alerting her about Sedona's post that prompted Riley to respond, "She cheated on me twice." And just like that, the first brick was thrown.
I'm discovering with everyone else and everyone's in the comments is like, what? Did y'all break up? What did Riley do? Blah, blah, blah. Because the way she framed it made it seem like, oh, Riley did something bad, whatever. To make a long story short, I blew up her phone, called her, was screaming, crying, and being like, what are you talking about? Like, what is that? Like, why did you say that? That's manipulative. I didn't do anything. I'm so confused. And she like won't answer. And I'm like, what did you do? What did you do? And then turns out she made out. At the time, she just told me she made out with this teammate of hers that I knew was in love with her, but she made it seem like the teammate was a weirdo, you know, as they usually do.
Sedona responded in a now deleted video.
Yes, I cheated. I cheated one time. Should have broken up, absolutely, but we didn't. We stayed together. We wanted to heal, and in doing so, we became super healthy, happy, and we had moved past it. And then around my birthday, I had figured out that Riley had been cheating on me with someone that she had been friends with since the beginning of our relationship. Our love was beautiful, but when we say it was a mutual breakup, it doesn't have to technically be a healthy mutual breakup. It can be mutually agreed that we are not good for each other at all. I posted that Snapchat last night because I am so heartbroken that Riley has became friends again with the person that she cheated on me with, and is, I don't know if they're going to pursue something, but that really makes me sad. To me, it just shows that she had no remorse for what she did, and she doesn't feel really bad, but it's her life, her journey, and I wish her nothing but the best. So I posted that, and I shouldn't have, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cause drama, but I'm just so sad how she's taking this breakup, and I just want this to be over. Please don't send hate to Riley, just here's the information that you guys have fucking wanted. I didn't want to do this, but I started it, and now I'm going to end it.
In November 2022, Riley posted a collection of screenshots exposing Sedona's consistent infidelity, as well as a screenshot of her begging Riley to take her back, as well as some intense screenshots of Sedona berating Riley via text, including the statement, "If I kill myself, it's because of you. Nah, JK, I'll never let you win like that." In January 2023, Sedona entered a new relationship with a smaller creator named Olivia, and viewers were quick to be like, "Girl, run." To which she responded with a post saying, "In the same way that certain people can bring out the best in you, certain people can also bring out the worst. I believe that people do change because I did." And then a longer statement detailing that she didn't know who Sedona was when they first met, and were able to get to know each other without external opinions. Quote, "I can't control the fact I fell for someone. Sedona and I have been completely honest about our past since the second we became exclusive. The good, the bad, the ugly. Decides nobody knows about but me and her." Olivia also claims that Riley said, quote, "She deserves all the backlash to come her way." Soon after, Riley posted to her TikTok story saying in reference to Sedona, "That was my absolute best friend. The highs were incredibly high. The lows that came shortly after were low. It's not always bad. It's mostly really wonderful. The bad is just really bad. It's addicting. You're stuck. I was prepared to take this to my grave and especially never take it to social media. But when blatant lies are still being spread about me, when I was the victim, I can't help but defend myself. Our first fight wasn't until 3 months in. The love bombing is fantastic. Everything was absolutely perfect until 6 months in. I too thought it was such a pure healing love. She's so fucking smart. I thought I was different. They treated all my friends and family like their own. So kind to every acquaintance. That's how a narcissist works. Once you're comfortable and stuck, the true colors come out, to you and only you. You feel crazy. I've had 4 other girls come to me with the same treatment, same love bombing. They're good. They know exactly what they're doing. It works every time. Believing they will change is what fuels them. They target empaths for that reason. Be safe." Sedona responds by releasing a handwritten letter that Riley wrote to her, where she says basically she forgives her and will choose to remember them as they were, as well as a statement claiming Riley had been harassing her family and friends and trying to get Olivia to break up with her, with an ending jab calling out Riley for moving on with a person she allegedly cheated on Sedona with. Riley responded in her own statement and with screenshot evidence saying basically, "You just made all that up," as well as a video of Sedona allegedly having what she claims to be a panic attack, but Riley claims was an attempt to guilt trip and manipulate her back into a relationship with her, saying Sedona said, quote, "I wanted you to see." It's brief but trigger warning for blood and distress. She also states she's never reached out to Olivia and criticizes Sedona for trying to use the letter she wrote with the intent to give Sedona grace as evidence that Riley is being disingenuous online and trying to paint a narrative against her. She also clarifies she does not forgive her. It's a lot. And shout out to Austin Green, this recount is a synthesized version of his video from 2024 because locating all of this information as well as evidence verifying it in chronological order is a task that, if not left to like the UN or the FBI or God, should have fallen to a man. So thank you for being an ally, Austin. The narrative at this point is split, which may seem bananas in hindsight, but you have to remember Sedona is a 6'7" masked lesbian. And it seems to conclude publicly with Sedona and her family threatening legal action against Riley. Some fans condemning Sedona's behavior and sending both hate and concern to Olivia, and others condemning Riley for, quote, not being able to let it go and saying she needs to get over it. Well, now Riley is with Zayn, and they're so in love and they're so posting it. And eventually, this devolves into a 2v2 couple-off. Riley and Zayn versus Sedona and Olivia.
And then Riley's partner Zayn made a video of his own where he has a screenshot that is a text from Riley to Sedona back when they were dating saying, "You make the stars look dim, my sunlight." And then a screenshot from a couple days ago where Sedona's new girlfriend Olivia used the same phrase. Sedona's girlfriend just responded to that video providing screenshots between her and Zayn.
The four of them exchange a series of subtweets and leaked screenshots before deciding to dead the narrative and take it off socials. And because of course it did, a couple months later, Riley and Zayn's relationship exploded in a similar fashion, with screenshots and videos and subtweets everywhere. But anyways, Olivia's with Sedona, and they're together as fuck, and they're planning on moving in together. And oh, Olivia's taking Sedona to Mexico for her birthday, and then oh, they are low-key not together anymore, and then beep boop beep, the series drops. Olivia's multi-part expose series on Sedona is most likely the part of the story you're most familiar with, because this shit went mega viral. Soon after their trip to Mexico, Olivia started posting things that alluded her and Sedona had broken up. Soon after that, she took to TikTok to post a series of videos detailing what happened on that trip.
I told her we could do whatever she wanted to do because it was her birthday. And what she wanted to do was rent an ATV. We left our phones in the hotel room and started to drive the ATV in the dark in Mexico. And she says she wants to go to the arch. After the arch, it's pitch black. Like, there are Jaguar crossing signs. At this point, I am begging her to turn it around and for us to do this in the daytime. She's not answering me. She's just going and going faster. We're now past the arch and it's pitch black and it's the scariest thing I've ever experienced. And I'm begging her, screaming, "Please stop the ATV. Please stop the ATV." And she stops it as hard as she can, shoves me to the ground, looks me dead in my eyes, and then takes off and leaves me in the pitch fucking black.
Olivia claims that while riding an ATV in the foreign wilderness, Sedona aggressively shoved her off the back, leaving her alone in the jungle at night, and then sped away, returning only after Olivia began running down a road in fear, looking for help. Olivia said Sedona flipped the ATV, leaving her with bruises, scrapes, and bleeding. She claimed Sedona punched her in the chest and shoved her against a wall while intoxicated.
Receipt number 1. This is from May 22nd, and this is when I was trying to get my things back, and proof of taking accountability. Turned around and she did this to me. This is to her mother.
The next day, Olivia attempted to keep the trip positive, as it was her girlfriend's birthday, only for Sedona to belittle and ignore her all day, and to end up cozied up in a hot tub with multiple other women directly in front of her, on this trip that she had planned and paid for.
My girlfriend was in the pool of the villa without a top on, and holding Francesca in her arms, pressed against her, pouring a shot of Don Julio in her mouth. And says, "If you leave, I'm gonna hurt tonight." So I said, "Okay, bet." And I walked up over to my girl and I said, "I'm ready to leave." And they all turned to her and started screaming at her for me. But we get all the way to the front of the villa when I realize I still have her phone. They said that the look in her eyes when they gave the phone back to her was the scariest thing that they've ever seen in their life.
There's a lot more to it, and I'd recommend watching the series or one of the many videos that covered it at the time. Sedona's downfall was swift, and the narrative grew rapidly. A girl named Alyssa came forward publicly with SA allegations against Sedona.
Immediately was like, "We gotta do what we gotta do to get out of this fucking car. This bitch is 6'7". I'm 5'2". I froze. And I let it happen. And it's not anything like crazy. It wasn't anything like super vicious and intense. It was more so of like she forced herself inside of me and decided because I wasn't reacting that it wasn't fun. So literally just threw me to the side and was like, ugh, slipped her fucking fingers out.
And at this point, there is a collection of allegations floating around the internet about her, ranging from cheating to manipulation to physical violence. Alyssa said she tried to come forward with her story several times, but was repeatedly threatened into silence with legal action by Sedona's team, which is definitely a common theme, because Sedona has allegedly waved the same threats against Olivia, claiming via text she would sue Olivia's family until, quote, "you can no longer put food on y'all's table," if she spoke publicly. Notably, Riley was vindicated. The Just Move On hive had rebranded to "Oh, our fault, free her," which is just frankly very sad. To zoom out, this girl was denigrated by her ex, launched into a public foray to prove she wasn't crazy and was in fact the victim, and then had to watch as her ex essentially replaced her as a partner and a TikTok personality with a girl who clearly was very much aware of Riley's experience with Sedona and proudly stood by her anyways. And then, in the aftermath of Olivia's series, had to watch as this girl received the praise and sympathy she was denied and gaslit about by the general public, while also having all this shit brought up again months later, completely against her will. Riley made a statement saying, quote, "I appreciate you guys giving me the space to reshare/share more details of my experience, but I want to be very clear, I will not be doing that. This thing has forced me to relive a lot of things I worked very hard to get past." Adding, "I have nothing but the utmost respect for Via and how brave she's been through all of this." Sedona responded with a statement claiming she's never abused anyone, but apologizing for, quote, "not being the best partner."
Now, I have never abused anybody in my life.
It's unclear if a lawsuit was ever actually issued against Olivia. However, an odd segue, but just keep walking with me, hold my hand, we're going to talk about racism. During the peak of support for and reaction to Olivia's series in summer of 2024, a video leaked of Olivia saying the N-word in 2019.
So fucking bad. Oh my god, so bad, nigga. Please?
She'd also been criticized in the past for using a black scent in her content.
I say hi to Larissa and James and all my other beautiful co-workers. Here's me making a drink. You know, you give me a fat tip. Then I gotta make sure to restock all the ice cups and make sure everything's clean and get a drink on my way out.
Now, white influencers and even popular mainstream celebrities at the peak of their popularity having a racism scandal is quite nearly a pillar of online culture at this point. The frequency of it is laughable and obviously deeply upsetting, and to be clear, I have no interest in exonerating Olivia for this behavior, but also it is truly so common at this point, I'm desensitized to it. I walk through the world under the impression every single white person I've ever met has said it, and it shields me from disappointment. But what I didn't see explored as much when this happened was how this is a clear and distinct propagation of abuse, in a way I actually find much more harmful and upsetting. The theory that Sedona allegedly, absolutely, fucking orchestrated the release of that video.
And I put you in a headlock. You ain't like that one, did you?
I mean, to some it may have been obvious. To me, it definitely was. The timing was just too convenient. And Olivia more or less confirmed it. But let's unpack that. In the face of these severe and violent domestic abuse allegations, Sedona, hypothetically, not only chose to retaliate against the girl she threw off a moving vehicle in the jungle of a foreign country, but weaponized racism, like the multifaceted, deep-rooted institution of racism, to defame and attempt to discredit her ex. Not to be a utilitarian, but I find this almost inexplicably despicable. Not only have you allegedly caused immense harm to a person who loved you, who trusted you, but as an extension of your harm towards her, you are going to weaponize the pain and trauma of hundreds of thousands of real people, of black people, just to hurt her. Not even in a way to clear your name or shift the narrative, because it's not like her saying the N-word actually makes her claims of domestic abuse less credible, at all. Racist people can be abused. Fun fact. So you're just doing it to be an asshole, to cause more pain, and to extend that pain beyond your relationship and onto total strangers. And if true, I think that speaks so definitively to Sedona's character. And side note, I feel the same way about Brooke Schofield. When she made her multi-part series around the same time, exposing her ex who allegedly cheated, manipulated, and lied to her about his entire fucking backstory, including claiming his very much alive mother was dead. Suddenly, these, albeit absolutely horrendous, deeply harmful, and inexcusably racist tweets resurfaced from years prior. It's incredibly nuanced because it prompts this discussion around being the perfect victim. While these two white women were getting a shit ton of, albeit deserved sympathy, it then broaches the question of how much sympathy we really should have for them because, well, they be doing racism on the low. And honestly, it's not we, it's black people specifically, and that sucks, because I don't want to be a pawn in your perpetuation of abuse against your ex. Like, please leave us the fuck alone, actually, because let's engage with it as if these are serious people for a second. If Sedona did leak this, and she had this video, and she knew this was said, and she knows it's such a cancelable offense, and shoot me down, I'm not saying it's better, but I do think there's an ideological difference between saying the N-word in a song and saying the N-word in an argument, but I digress. Let's play worst case scenario and assume the person who leaked this video wants us as the audience to assert that Olivia is genuinely a racist person. Then why did you date her? You don't actually give a single fuck about racism or about black people. You are leveraging centuries of black pain to meet your own ends and harm someone. And that, to me, is deeply and objectively fucking racist. Anyways, Olivia comes out with a C- apology video or two.
There is no justification for why that word was ever in my vocabulary or why I ever felt like it was okay to say it. And to any person of color that I've offended from this video, I am so sorry.
And then rebrands with her new girlfriend, Sam. Since then, Sedona, after not being drafted to play in the WNBA, is playing basketball abroad and is mostly not on social media. So what do we make of this? Totally kidding. I'm totally joking. Of course there's more, because like I said, Sedona was the seed, but I'm much more interested in the branches. The people involved and linked to this are in many ways the faces of, or connected to the faces of, what is known as Lestopia, and notably are some of the most popular lesbian creators on the platform. Written about in mainstream media, chronicled in video essays, big brand deals, influencer parties, the works. And substantialized even more by the emergence of Kales, the resident Lestopia journalist whose page was solely dedicated to documenting and synthesizing the romantic relationships of these people and their associates for the eyes of hundreds of thousands.
All right, let's talk about what's up with Lestopia's favorite president, JoJo Siwa. This is probably the third, maybe fourth time that there has been drama between Sedona and Riley. It always starts with someone posting something and things get really intense really fast, and then it ends with them messaging me and saying, we decided to keep this off the internet, can you just like not help add to the drama? And I'm always like, sure.
To bring the timeline to today, Olivia and Sam are so in love and they're so posting it, and then new character, Sam's ex Kaylee, pops out with a video exposing Sam for committing the age-old lesbian crime, my body not even cold and you got a new bitch in your bed, lesbian canon.
It looks bad. It's the same thing with Liv and Sam. Like, they're not going to say the truth about when they started talking or when their first interaction was physically or whatever, because it looks bad. And Sam and Liv are arguing that it's like not cheating because they didn't, and they weren't like really together because they didn't define the relationship with a title until October. But that is bullshit.
Sparking a whole nother subsection of the story where people online are debating that situation.
Sam, Kaylee, Via, I'm gonna tell you guys which one of you is the problem.
And just to make things even more convoluted, we can't forget Olivia's solidarity collab post with viral lesbian TikToker Avery Cyrus, who had recently had a public and contentious relationship with JoJo Siwa.
You know, I have a good relationship with one of my exes, and the other one I will never talk to again till the day I die.
Thank you, God. After Avery had faced scrutiny for her public breakup with longtime girlfriend Soph Mosca, who somewhere in this timeline had begun dating and subsequently broke up with fellow queer TikToker Anna Shimade, prompting Soph to go on the podcast of content creator Becca Moore to discuss her past relationships because Becca had had a very public breakup with lesbian YouTuber Shannon Beveridge, who famously dated and subsequently beefed with her ex-girlfriend, who is acclaimed singer-songwriter Fletcher, over a song she'd written about wanting to fuck Shannon's at the time girlfriend Becky. And so on and so forth forever until the world explodes. So officially, what do we make of this? It's like this. This insane, horrible thing happened. And because I guess the general public wasn't ready for height gap relationships, thousands of people got wrapped up in it parasocially. My main takeaway from this, what sits with me, what probes at me, especially as a Black content creator in the same niche that's been making content for over 5 years now, is that Riley and Olivia never really asked to be TikTok stars. They didn't go into this with the intention of being public figures and having their love lives reported on and dissected in Reddit threads. I think there's a genuine difference between being a public figure and having a public scandal and being a person in a public scandal that leads to you becoming a public figure. The entirety of their brands, respectively, even outside of Sedona, who had a following from basketball, is that we all know this thing about them. We watched it unfold, we got invested in it, and now we follow because what happens next? Lestopia is a collection of popular creators whose brand is essentially that they're gonna date each other and break up and keep trading. And during the off seasons, they'll maybe post a vlog or a get ready with me, but the content, the appeal is the mess or the recovery from it. You saw what happened to me, and so what now? Basically. On one hand, it is impactful to watch victims heal, to live normal lives, to find healthy love. But similarly to Laura and Raleigh, to what ends? Both of their relationships after Sedona ended in public scrutiny and think pieces and more lesbian carnage, and I don't think those two in particular are baiting their audience for that kind of attention in the way Laura and Raleigh do, but the reality is we've turned them into that. In terms of the Lestopians, there are subreddits dedicated to picking apart their posts, their whereabouts, some going as far as to reach out to their families in different instances. Because they shared their stories with us, or their love, or their heartbreak, one moment of their lives, one deeply traumatic and shocking experience, there's an investment and nearly an entitlement to them, critiquing their relationships, picking sides, demonizing one or the other, and then rinse, recycle, repeat. Obviously, there is something to be said about the fact they do have autonomy in continuing to publicize and profit off of their relationships. But one, that is legal, and they should be allowed to do that. And two, that dynamic is symbiotic. We fuel it. And their dynamic with their audience, the reason they're famous, is inherently voyeuristic. We all saw what happened, and we're waiting for the sequel. We're waiting for the next shoe to drop, or we're waiting for them to girl boss it up and write a tell-all. It's not a genuine investment in the content. It's the hunger for the story. When it's not a story, it's their lives. And I'm not trying to comfort them. I can't honestly say if I had the opportunity, I wouldn't do it. I spend hours toiling over cultural nuances and idiosyncrasies of niche online conflict and writing 10-page video essays about it in my free time to pay my bills. So sometimes, hell yeah, I think I'd love to just post a thirst trap with some TikTok stud and skyrocket to lesbian infamy. Absolutely. But I don't think it's necessarily healthy or sustainable. Sedona is an absolutely unique case. It is just and correct for her actions to be picked apart and publicized because the allegations against her lack nuance. Her actions are unjustifiable with any reasonable logic, as well as the fact it displays a pattern of behavior that's growing in severity, and the fact she is one of the largest platforms of anyone involved in the story. But in more blurry cases, in those shades of gray stories, Domo and Crissy, maybe Sam and Kaylee, and again, I will stand on the fact it is legal to beef with your ex online and a public crash out is emotional praxis. But as an audience, I think it's important to ask, what are we supposed to do with this? Where do we draw the line? Do we pick a side? Do we dig through hours of screenshots for the closest thing we can find to the truth? As I said in my first video, when I see someone sharing a vulnerable story online, my practice is to absorb it, offer words of support if I feel so inclined, offer a critique if it feels productive to that person's growth or the growth of others, and move on. Frankly, to do a little journalistic bias, I think Sedona Prince is not a great person for real, but nonetheless, she would not exist without us. None of this would exist without us. We saw Tall Short Lesbian and said yes 2 million likes, and we made this. And we are continuing to hold these people up, continuing to fuel this constantly evolving story as if these people's love lives have a level of depth or importance that exists beyond ours, and it's not true. They're quite literally just girls. These are just white lesbians doing white lesbian things. Perhaps, like I said in the first episode, it's that clinging to see ourselves reflected in media, to create figures that can represent the realities of what it means to be a young queer person in 2025. And sometimes these stories, obviously, are deeply productive cultural conversations about power, about abuse, and about what it means to survive it. But with this Rolodex, this web of love and lies and deceit that rambles on with no end in sight, the reason we're following is just to veer. It's voyeuristic. It's to feel ourselves, our experiences, our desires through someone else in a way that is human, but can very quickly become toxic for subject and spectator alike. Through these people, these proxies, whose jobs we have made it to be heartbroken and in love and heartbroken again on our behalves, in a lot of ways, it's dehumanizing and pointless. Not that I'm above it. I'm a Libra, and I love me some good goss. But this saga has unfolded over the course of 5 years, and in contrast to the other parts, in a lot of ways, it continues to unfold. But in another 5 years, what will it mean? What does it say about our world, our relationships, our media, our love? What can we learn from this? The impact of Domo and Crissy was rooted in the fact their audience loved their love. Their rise spoke to aspiration and hope, and their downfall spoke to the collective understanding of loss and heartbreak and betrayal. But it was rooted in love. It was rooted in community, in a shared experience. And because of that earnestness, that genuinity, the fact their followers saw them as three-dimensional people and not characters in this elaborate carpet-munching soap opera, for the most part, people were able to move on.
I'm never gonna act like I'm just the perfect fucking person on this earth.
That was obviously, when we told our sides, it was obviously not good. Like, let's value ourselves a little more, put this to the side, and let's keep it moving.
People that live in the past they don't evolve, and they can't like grasp, they just can't grasp the concept of like people healing and moving on. And I've realized that throughout the last 4 years is that like, you're showing me a reflection of yourself.
But all of this is rooted in pain, spite, mockery, chaos. Gossip, drama, whatever exists for a reason. It serves a function, especially for women, genuinely, historically. Look it up. But as I close this series, as I sit with all of this collective, communal pain, not to be Carrie Bradshaw, but I can't help but wonder, what do we do with it all? And to be fair, there is a lesbian web in genuinely every corner of this earth. And not to be the L Word theme song, but it's the way that we live and love. I know that and I use this word very lightly because it don't always feel like it, a privileged position, in the fact that my real life looks like this. I live in New York. I pretty much exclusively go to lesbian spaces. Like, I have oomph of oomph with the people in this video. Like, I don't feel the need to invest in this because this is Tuesday in Brooklyn. So I'm not trying to say like, go touch grass, because I know that people whose live reality may not reflect this. Chaos and mess, yes, but really in many senses, community. This can feel aspirational in certain ways. My point is really that we need to be looking at these things, these webs, these potent but fundamentally impersonal stories as lessons, not as extensions of ourselves. Thank you so much for going on this journey with me. This work is my passion, and in a lot of ways, it's my life. I'm a proud and shrewd, chronically online lesbian, and I'm so grateful to have connected with so many people who feel similarly. This channel has been active for 6 months. I started in January, and to have hit 30K this quickly is truly everything to me. Thank you so much for being here. I also hope my ethos as a creator is clear through these videos. Not condemnation, not escapism, but reflection. Sitting with the fact that there are no perfect people. I sure as hell am not one. I'm just a girl. A girl who wants to be seen as a three-dimensional human and thus wants the same for others. Thank you so much for watching. Comment, like, subscribe, whatever the fuck. Maybe follow my Patreon, and see you next week. And thanks so much again to Bellesa for sponsoring this video. Enter that giveaway and get some reprieve from all this bullshit. Thanks for watching, and please, for the love of God, start some dating rumors about me. I'm trying to go to Disneyland with JoJo Siwa.